Hey there, I'm Miska and welcome to HitScan. We're looking at some news today and there's quite a lot of different sources, so excuse me if I sound a little bit more than usual, like I'm just kind of reading off of a lot of different screenshots, Reddit threads, news articles, tweets, all this sort of stuff, because I want to make sure I get the information right. A big thanks to HyperX for their continued sponsorship of the channel as well. They make some really good gaming gear. I'm really enjoying their latest mouse, the HyperX Pulsefire Dart. Check out their website with all the products and stuff in the description. First off, last week we talked about how Overwatch 2 coming out in 2020 was tweeted out by an official PlayStation account, PlayStation Brazil. Now, on that video, and as a lot of people know, there were a lot of talk about how some Brazilian accounts, and especially PlayStation Brazil in particular, actually have leaked things in the past by mistake, by tweeting things out before they were supposed to be known. Just clashes in marketing, communication and coordination really. And the latest to do the same seems to be Vancouver Titans, who tweeted out, Overwatch 2 is coming out this year. What is everyone most excited for? We are excited for all the new game modes. I don't know why they said game modes, because only one's been confirmed, but I guess they're talking about the story mode and the hero missions, and then the new actual game mode, the multiplayer game mode Push. Regardless, that tweet was a little bit odd, and they actually tagged Overwatch and Blizzard in this tweet as well. That tweet was swiftly deleted as expected, and they now changed it to coming soon, someone said, and apparently that thread that someone linked to as well on Reddit and had a few upvotes, so I assume that was actually true, was also deleted. And they had also tried to reply to a bunch of people saying that they didn't actually have any information and sorry, this might be wrong or something along those lines. Point is, they went back on all of this and kind of deleted all of it. And now they haven't really said anything about it. Very weird. And if we look at it in a pretty realistic way, it could be that they'd seen the PlayStation announcement, the 2020 thing from the Brazil account, and heard the things that were mentioned at BlizzCon, and just kind of figured that this was the year that it was meant to happen. And it definitely is a possibility that Blizzard had also mentioned something in passing to Overwatch League teams. Whatever the truth behind that may be, there's also an article that I wanted to highlight from around the BlizzCon time that I kind of missed around then, I'd heard about, but I wanted to bring it up now because it kind of reinforces this whole Overwatch 2 in 2020 deal. It's an article from a French website, jokesvideo.com. I'm not quite sure how to speak French or how to say anything in French, so sorry if I got that wrong. Either way, it just details a bunch of the new modes and kind of tells you everything from BlizzCon, from someone that was, I believe, at Blizzard before BlizzCon, before Overwatch 2 was actually properly announced. And in this article, it says that it's kind of scheduled to release in around fall 2020. For PC, PS4, Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. I believe the exact translation might be like expected to release in fall 2020, something like that. Point is that with that, the way Jeff Kaplan's were to talk about this in the past and so on, it seems like the late 2020 release is likely, especially with the whole PlayStation 5 thing potentially happening and all that. So yeah, all of this to me kind of reinforces the whole rumor that Overwatch 2 is coming in 2020, but I wouldn't say that it's 100% confirmed. I would only really say that if someone very, very credible leaks that, or that Blizzard go out and actually confirm it. Anyway, what are you looking forward to with Overwatch 2, since Vancouver Titans didn't really get many people answering that question, but rather asking a whole lot of other questions. Moving on, I wanted to talk about some Overwatch League stuff, as some casters have actually quit and are not coming back to the Overwatch League for Season 3. If you didn't know, Season 3 of the Overwatch League will include a bunch of travel and a lot of play in a lot of different cities, as all of the different teams will be hosting an event in their city featuring Overwatch League games. So it's going to be a very different season, way more international and worldwide, and we will see probably a lot of issues come with it. But before that's even started, casters have actually kind of cut ties or quit, whatever you want to call it, and will not be returning for Overwatch League broadcasts in 2020. The latest one to announce this was Malik, who announced it, well, today for me, but just late yesterday basically for US time. Previously, just a couple days before now, we also had Semler announce the same thing, that he will not be returning to the Overwatch League. We had Monte and Doa as well announce the exact same thing, where neither of them will be returning to the Overwatch League for 2020, and that's a lot of high-profile casters and personalities and just broadcast talent that are all of a sudden gone. Kind of worrying. And even Puckett, the sort of main host of the Overwatch League here and there, has said that he's heading into freelance. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he did kind of say in his video that he might be doing some stuff with Overwatch League here and there, but he's not hired on as a full-on host all the time, at least. So who knows if he's gonna come back and host some Overwatch event at least this year, but he will not be the permanent host for Overwatch League 2020 at least. Now, you might be a little bit confused as to why I'm talking about this and why all of this has happened, because there's no specific sort of drama or anything that's triggered this. But there are some important things to note regarding esports and other games that I want to kind of bring up here. So first off, I want to talk about Semler. Semler has kind of said that the reason as to why he really quit Overwatch League was because he just didn't feel as excited about the game anymore. The game has changed a lot from Season 1 to Season 2, and it's made it more difficult to cast for him, he said in a comment when talking to news outlet The Loadout. Quote, "If you watch me cast Counter-Strike, you'll know I like to get excited and hyped, but also that I don't fake it. But that was getting more and more difficult in Overwatch. The game has changed so radically since the first season and when we first started out. There were more options for mechanical skills and big plays. I felt like it was still possible to carry a team pretty hard individually, but that's harder now after the last 2 years. The new meta, slowed the game down so much that it became difficult for me to cast it." Any of you watching that have played Counter-Strike may have also seen this clip of Semler casting a pretty iconic moment in Counter-Strike history of this Deagle Ace by Happy.
I'm hoping to catch somebody peek on Envy's side, and well, that's what happens when you go around the corner. Happy with one dig. Oh, and another one! Oh, and a third! Happy! He could get another one here too, Dupree! Dupree is like sweating bullets! Happy's gonna get the quad kill in the ace! What is this?
And you can just hear the excitement in his voice there, and just that level of excitement is just very uncommon, honestly, in Overwatch casting, I feel like. Sure, there's moments that have extreme impact on games where casters do throw out a reaction. And honestly, I don't really feel like most people fake it, and most of the time it is exciting when you're in a massive stadium with a lot of people, there's a lot of money on the line, or maybe even a spot to play in a later part of the same event. But this really spoke to me because I feel like it kind of summarizes looking at Sigma Orisa games over and over and over, looking at GOATs over and over and over. That gets tiring for these people and also for the people playing. So that's why I wanted to highlight this part. There's also been some talks about payment to these casters not being really at a satisfactory level. I think Monte has mentioned it as something that's not completely out of nowhere. It didn't really apply to him though, but Malik commented to Kotaku, who reached out to him and said that he wasn't quite happy with the numbers he was being offered. But also I think what everyone have mentioned here, all of these casters, is just kind of the traveling schedule. Being dedicated to traveling this much every single month is kind of crazy and really locks you into only being able to do this, even if you're not hired in a way that doesn't actually technically allow you to cast anything else. You can't really do it anyway because of all the travel. So yeah, it's a pretty huge deal to dedicate to something like this as a caster, and it's understandable that we see some people leave because of it. Anyway, this was a little bit odd because we don't usually talk about this stuff on the channel, but I wanted to bring it up because some of this stuff and some of the comments, especially from Semler, really spoke to me, and I've seen him at Counter-Strike events throughout 2019, a couple of the Blast events, and I believe the Blast Premier Series is starting up in 2020 for Counter-Strike, and that's kind of a new format for those events as well. And assuming that he is kind of in with those people, he might very well appear at a lot of those events. So we'll see exactly what happens, but regardless, a lot of casters leaving the Overwatch League. Best of luck to all of them though. Finally, talking about the meta a little bit more, I wanted to just highlight something that's been going on in the China region. Chinese contenders, the seeding part of it, is actually started for 2020. There's been some games already, I believe played on maybe the 7th, 8th, 9th of January, something along those lines. Regardless, there was a little bit of dive in there actually, and there wasn't a whole lot. I don't want to over exaggerate and say that, oh man, dive is definitely coming back, but the fact that we saw just a bit of it at least played on Oasis, a bit of Eichenwald second, but yeah, a little bit later into the match, and at a couple other points was interesting because these games were not played on the latest patch, the one that's on the PTR. They were played on the previous patch before D.Va was buffed and Baptiste has been nerfed and all these other changes. Now, I don't know what other regions are gonna do and other teams and players, if they will actually pick up on this or if it's even interesting to them, honestly. Maybe they have tried it out and just didn't really feel like it worked out for them at all. But point is that if we see just a little bit of that, at least at this sort of level of the tier 2 scene, there's definitely at least some potential behind it, and with the patch actually allowing dive to at least be played a bit more, I've got my fingers crossed, and we will have another video going out a bit later this week looking into the potential of that a bit more. So if you're interested in the potential of dive in the upcoming meta, or in the upcoming patch at least, then definitely don't miss that. Make sure you also don't miss the HyperX gaming gear that we use. We use a lot of their stuff actually. I use their RAM, keyboard, mouse, headset and mouse pad right now. They even have a really good microphone as well. That's a very good value entry level microphone for content creation in my opinion. You can check it out in the description, and a lot of their other stuff, you can just click that link and then you're on their website and you can browse all their products and stuff. It's available in most places, Amazon and probably your local tech store. So yeah, check that out, and thanks to HyperX for sponsoring this video. That's all for now though. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.